So I'm a guy that oftentimes has my back seize up. And that's probably from years of overuse, pulling too heavy in bad positions while fatigued and whatever. But now I'm smart enough to actually know that on days when I pull from the floor or squat, I need to warm my back up. So I found that there's about 5 exercises that have very specific functions that I include during warm-ups when I'm going to pull from the floor or if I'm going to squat. Let's take a look at what all 5 of these are. The first movement is a hip hinging movement, and I like to choose either between the deadlift or the good morning. So you can do either one of those two. The second is a cross-body rotational exercise. And this can help turn on like quadratus lumborum, the sides, your flanks, and you can do a whole range of movements that kind of fall into the category of rotational exercises. The third one is a Superman on a GHD or a Swiss ball. That's great for just holding static positions and firing those muscle tissues. The fourth one is what's called a Sweatt Shrug, and that's where we go from a flexed spine to an extended spine, and we add a shrug to kind of incorporate the upper back. And then lastly is a deadlift pull against pins. So it's an isometric movement that just lights up your whole posterior chain. Let's take a look at what each one of them look like. The first one that we're gonna take a look at is the hip hinge movement. And that can be either a deadlift or a good morning. I frankly like the good morning because you're using very light weight and it helps me activate the muscle tissues in my back a little bit better than the deadlift does. I feel it in my upper back because the load is over my shoulders as well as my back, hamstrings, and glutes. So that's kind of the first exercise that I would do, and I would do that for anywhere from 8 to 10 reps with light weight. So the second exercise that I always use is a cross-body rotational exercise. And I like to use a single arm when I do this, and the pull from the floor could be anything from a single leg cross-body deadlift. It could be a cross-body snatch, or you can use the implement like a kettlebell and do a cross-body clean. And what I really like about this is it warms up my flanks. So this would be like quadratus lumborum and your obliques. And I notice that when I do this, I have fewer seize-ups in my back when I include these types of movements. Choose one of those movements, do 8 to 10 reps on each side, and do it with light weight. The third one's a pretty simple one, but it requires either having a Swiss ball or a GHD. And all it is a Superman hold. So that's where you hook your heels under something and you've got your hips, and actually it's more like your quads on top of either the GHD or the Swiss ball with the rest of your trunk extended in front of it. And what this requires is your glutes, hamstrings, abdominals, and your back erectors to hold your torso in a static position. And I just hold that for 10 seconds. If you're feeling froggy, you can add a little bit of weight, like a 5 or 10 pound plate, but don't make this a workout, it's just a warm-up. Okay, so one of my favorites to add is a flexion extension exercise, and that's called the Sweatt Shrug. This was invented by Shane Sweatt from Ohio, and it's super cool. So you go from basically a deadlift position at the knees, and you round your back from the upper spine, your cervical spine, then through your thoracic spine, and then your lumbar spine. You reverse that by flattening your lumbar spine, flattening your thoracic spine, flattening your cervical spine, and then adding a shrug at the end. And what this results in is a really awesome chain of movement from the hips all the way to the neck. And you're gonna feel every muscle in your back light up. Again, you could use lightweight like just a barbell, or it may be up to 75 pounds because you're gonna wanna do that for 8 to 10 reps. And again, it's not about working out right now, it's just about warming up. Okay, so our last movement is the deadlift against pins. This movement I love because you can begin to load just a little bit for the rest of your workout, but remember, keep in mind, this is just a warm-up. And what you do is you basically set a bar in a rack underneath pins set at knee height. You're going to deadlift light weight up to the pins, and then for 8 to 10 seconds, pull the bar against the pins as hard as you can. And this is gonna make your back from your shoulder blades through your hamstrings work very hard. It turns on all those muscle tissues, and because it's in a static position, it creates an awareness of your body position in an isometric position. That's why I love the deadlift against the pins. So that's the 5 exercises that I do anytime I pull from the floor heavy, or if I squat heavier with weight. And I have to do this because I'm 42 years old and I've had some back injuries and I'm trying to keep myself healthy. And if you find yourself in that same situation where your back does seize up from time to time and you can almost plan that you need certain workouts you need to warm up a little bit more, try including those 5 exercises. And remember, it's a warm-up, it's not a workout. So light weights and 8 to 10 reps for 3 rounds. Enjoy, let me know how it goes.